Yo, 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 what's up, dudes? So, um, there's some big news today, according to Wargame Red Dragon. First, last week we got our two views on Yugoslavia and Finland, which both look pretty decent in themselves. But then we got the news that I guess concerns people the most is that Sovco um, is going to be removed, and so that they could revitalize, I guess, Red Dragons, which is an interesting perspective just because, like, right now, Sovco is kind of just like two things. It's more of like having access to a card of BUs and like a card of T90s is pretty much what Sovco is. Like, there's not really much reason to run it, but it's just an interesting viewpoint to remove like the coalition to like just buff to me, it doesn't really make too much sense because they said in the forum post that they weren't adding new units. When it would just be like re-rolling Red Dragon units to make them better, right? Like if so, your goal is to make Red Dragons a better faction altogether. Um, the way I see that happening is like adding what it's lacking and maybe re-rolling or maybe just flat out stat buffing like units or whatever. But it's missing, things, a lot of like weird things. I mean, it doesn't like their infantry's decent. Like Yukchun Day 90 and like B tier 90s, they have pretty decent line infantry in Bochongsu, I guess. They're all right. Lijiang 90 are good. I mean, their infantry's good. It's kind of awkward to play against. They have some decent AA choices. I mean, definitely not the best. I guess it's like the HQ7 and maybe like this. Like those are the two AA pieces. Recon tab is kind of wonky. The ZTQ used to be a very good, very strong tank, but I don't know about it anymore. And then vehicle tab is nothing. PTZ used to be good, but it's just I don't know. It's not favored anymore. Helo tab is weak, no attack helicopters. AA Helo's nice. Plane tab is generally kind of weak. No strong ATGM plane in my opinion. The laser guided bomb plane is kind of okay. I don't think it's too great. Everything else, their top tier ASF is kind of lacking. Their seed is okay. Just total, their plane tab isn't very good. The B5 is horrible. Pretty much, it's not really great, and it's just overall mediocre, right? It's very mediocre. So, to like to counteract this, I think you add like new unicorn units. I think is what the idea is. Like every faction is known for its unicorn units. Like for example, you can compare like Red Dragons to maybe like NORAD, I guess. So NORAD has USA has unicorn units, and NORAD gives it some it gives it some meat and potatoes in its infantry. Stronger infantry makes it more well-rounded, and you still get to keep the unicorn units. For example, the longbow, good ASFs, just a good air tab period with America. And I think that this is Red Dragons and NORAD are kind of the NORAD is what Red Dragons should be, in my opinion. I think Red Dragons need those really needs unicorn units for it to be competitive playable. It's mediocre now, but I think like there are definitely things that should be looked at to make it better. I think recon. Definitely, you could do a lot of things. I mean, if they're not adding new units, I don't see the point in doing anything. Like in my opinion, I think it's what they need is unicorn units. They need additional units to maybe an SPG, a new plane, maybe another version of the Fabal as either a full-on HEGM plane or maybe a full-on like top tier ASF. But I don't think it's really what they need as a top tier ASF. I think they just need a good HEGM plane. Um, I don't know. Their APCs are kind of like the only APC here is like the BTR-80A. All these other ones are kind of just lackluster, I guess. So maybe make one of them a little bit better, unique. Um, their AA tab is kind of whatever. Nothing really great. Nothing too special. here. I mean, they just need something imaginative. I'm not sure of the inner life, um, like arsenal of these armies. I know very little. Maybe an Isotacula, maybe just an upgraded Hind instead of these. I don't know. Just things that are maybe a really nice Super Hind or something like that. But besides that, these armies are really lacking in just unicorn units because if you want to make this faction better, you just have to roll out a whole bunch of flat stat buffs to all its units overall to make the faction, I guess, less mediocre. Then it just becomes, I guess playable, like maybe like Scandinavia playable. But it doesn't change the fact that um, usually factions that are played at high level are factions that have unicorn units like NORAD. And I think just to make them better, you need unicorn units. And with Sovco, like I guess I kind of get the point of removing it to be able to buff red dragons, but then I don't because like I know USSR is good on its own, but really, I don't see. I mean, I guess you could just buff, North Korean units, I guess, overall. And I'm guessing that's what they're going to do. My best guess is they're just going to flat out buff a majority of the Red Dragons units to make them better because they said there are no new units being added to the game, which is unfortunate because I feel like that is the main way to keep this game more interesting and more compelling to the like the competitive environment. Um, but it's a very interesting concept of just removing a coalition, having USSR just be strictly standalone now, or from what I know, I don't know, they might add USSR and Yugoslav. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I think it's very interesting. I look forward to seeing what they plan to do with Red Dragons. I think it has potential, but my best guess is just a flat out overall buff of just the units, uh, and that's it. Maybe re-rolling some units into, like I said, more of a special role to make them just more overall playable. Because right now they're mediocre. They're like South Korea, or excuse me, they're like Blue Dragons, very mediocre itself. I honestly think that Blue Dragons is less playable than Red Dragons at the moment. I guess that's just me. I haven't played in a while, but I'm pretty sure I feel like Blue Dragons is less playable than Red Dragons. But no one ever talks about Blue Dragons, so that's kind of just whatever. Another thing is I think the reason, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but I think the reason behind soft code being removed is just because there's been so many people complaining about it, which is, uh, I don't know, maybe that's just from the past when it first came out because people were really complaining about 3 cards of super heavies, which the meta at that time was just literally buying super heavy tanks in AA and then just rolling them around, which seems fine to me in like high tier play. Like it really it seems fine to me because there's a lot of ways that you can counteract that type of play, but then it gets real stale real fast, and then it just becomes a really aggravating game of who can keep their super heavies alive and manage their HGM planes effectively. So, I mean, this is taking it down to 1 card. Hopefully, um, it doesn't make sense when you look at the NATO aspect of things because you still have NORAD being an effective major and minor nation combination, while Red Fort doesn't really have a major and a minor. So it's just whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching. That's just my take on things. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys later.